Hi there, and welcome to One Body, One Life, proudly sponsored by Jamae's Fine Foods. I'm Vicki Nguyen, and I'm on a personal mission to live to 120, and I would absolutely love to take you on this journey with me. This fortnightly show is focused on longevity and understanding how we can all live longer and stronger through diet, exercise, lifestyle, nutrition, and so on. Each episode, we will uncover tips and tricks to living your healthiest and happiest life for as long as physically possible. I'll be chatting to the experts as well as people who have defied the odds and explore various treatments and modalities to help us all reach optimal wellness. So in today's episode, I get to chat to the one and only Mr. Pete Evans, a celebrity chef, an author, a documentary producer, father to 2 teen girls, and husband to Nicola. Pete is not only known in Australia and globally as a celebrity chef from My Kitchen Rules and the Paleo Way, he's also very well recognised for the beautiful and often controversial voice that he gives to alternative ways of living, being and doing. As many of you know, Pete frequently hits the headlines and is labelled a conspiracist by most media outlets, who incessantly try to dispute his comments as he continually pushes the envelope by challenging the status quo and questioning the narrative of mainstream thinking. One thing I absolutely love about Pete is his incredible tenacity and passion for sharing information to help people see more broadly, think more openly, and question absolutely everything. Like many of you, I first became aware of Pete during the My Kitchen Rules days, and it became very obvious that Pete's passion for the Paleo way and his desire to empower people to take their health into their own hands was something that he was completely evangelistic about. Raising topics like self-care, self-education and self-governance, and encouraging people to try something different and just see how it felt for them and their bodies was refreshing and exactly what the guidance that many people were looking for at that time. So with so many topics that are hot right now, obviously there are so many different directions I could take this interview in, but I wanted to understand more about you, Pete. So firstly, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. That was a long intro.
I know. Well, you know what? You've got a big personality. You've achieved so much in your lifetime already, and you're deserving of that big intro. So thank you for your time. So I wanted to talk about your evolution. I know your podcast is also called Evolve, but I wanted to talk about your evolution. I know most people who criticize you, they don't even know a single thing about you. Instead, they simply read a headline and judge you based on that. So let's get some greater insight into who Pete Evans is. So let's go all the way back. So tell us a bit about you, your backstory.
Oh, I don't want to bore anyone too much, but I was born in Melbourne, raised on the Gold Coast, come from a separated family, and an older brother and an older sister, and grew up, finally found surfing, a love of nature, especially the love of the ocean.
Yes.
And from that, my goal or intention is how can I surf the most, and how can I look after myself in that period, during this period we call life.
Yep.
And it's been an amazing journey so far. And one thing has led to another, which has led to another, which has led to another, which has brought us right here to where we are today.
Amazing.
Which is pretty cool.
So, I mean, obviously, it feels like your vision and your mission in life is far greater than that of a celebrity chef. Has this always been in you like this? Have you always been that type of child that questioned everything, even as a young boy? Or is this just something that's happened in time as you've learnt more and opened your eyes to more things?
I think I was a little or a lot disillusioned by school. Like I really loved maths.
Yes.
You know, maths and science were my sort of the things that I loved.
Okay.
Because they made sense to me. And the ongoing journey in my life, I realized that especially at school, there was a lot of stuff that I learned that really wasn't practical to me. It didn't create any passion in me. It was, here we go, we're learning this. What has this got to do with anything, you know?
Yeah.
And you could even say that with maths, you know, even though I've interviewed some of the world's leading mathematician, you know, and he's taken it further, and I can see where he's going, that mathematics is the ultimate truth in life, and you can boil everything down to that.
Yes.
But I think I was about 19 and I read a book by Anthony Robbins.
Okay.
And in that book, it was called Unlimited Power. And during the reading of that and the absorbing of that information, that sparked something in me which I was so excited about. It taught us how to think. Well, it brought awareness to the way that we think, the way that we behave, the way that we act, the belief patterns or systems that we run, or the programs that we run individually and collectively as a population.
Yeah.
And also in our families. It taught taught me about nutrition at that particular point in time. It taught me about breath work. It taught me about setting goals.
Okay.
It taught me about meditation. I was like, how the
Wow.
fuck did we not learn any of this at
Yes.
school? Like,
Exactly.
and why didn't I learn that from my parents?
Yes.
And yeah, there's many reasons for that, and I'm not blaming the education system or my parents or anything like that. But when I was reading, it was like, oh, fuck, these are some pretty important factors or aspects to our existence. And what else is out there?
Yes.
And from that, and I will state this, I wasn't a reader until about 19. Like, if there was a project at school, I was shit at English, and if I had to do a book report, I'd pick one that I could watch a movie for.
You sound like my
I was
son.
I was a visual person. I love the art of television and that medium stream of film and television, and so be it.
Yes.
This is long before social media and computers.
Yes.
But when I read that, I was like, oh, this is powerful. And I hated reading. You couldn't pay me to read a book. But after I read that book, I probably read 100 in that year.
Wow.
I read 2 books at least a week, if not more, while I was working as a chef or as an apprentice. And that thirst for knowledge has stayed to now.
Clearly.
And I think it was that was the key. And that opened the door to all the different aspects of what it meant to be a human being. How do you become a better parent? What is your role as a parent? How do you raise conscious, awake, beautiful children that don't take on your bullshit?
Yes.
I mean, how many parents ask themselves that question when they've got children? It's like, okay, I've got to make sure these kids are actually unique and not mini-me's.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a question. And, take it a step further, if you're going to have children, how many of us actually think about our emotional, spiritual, and physical health before we go through that process of recreating another human being?
Right.
In what I understand is in ancient culture or indigenous cultures, that was probably the most important question.
Exactly.
How do we prepare ourselves to bring in the next generation? And then when I look around at what's happening in our population, it's like, well, I wonder, and I'm not here to judge or cast out, but my question is, I wonder how many of us are doing this, because I didn't when I brought our daughters into the world.
Yes.
And it wasn't until later on I was like, oh, fuck, that would have been a good thing to actually get my body into peak physical and as well as emotional synergy,
yes,
as well as spiritual, before and consciously try to create the healthiest, most beautiful children in the world.
Absolutely.
So there's these pivotal, or what I would call foundational elements to what it means to be a human being. And I feel like I don't want to say not given the truth, but I feel like these important aspects to who we are, we're distracted by them through everything that what a Western popular modern culture has to distract us. And then the accountability all comes down to ourselves. We have to accept complete responsibility. We can't blame the mainstream media. We can't blame the politicians. We can't blame the system. We are in the system, but then we can choose to recreate or adapt either into that system and accept it,
yes,
or we create our own version of what it means to live, because we get one shot.
Absolutely.
And we can follow, we can obey, we can not question, or we create our own reality.
Absolutely.
Now, it seems that just ask you those questions about health or how to live are not appropriate questions or palatable questions to be asking these days. And that raises another question.
Yes.
Why? What is the fear around asking questions of how can we love more? How can we think deeper? How can we express ourselves, our authentic selves, without fear of judgment from our friends, our family, possibly the culture that we live in? Because many of us, I believe, sort of fit into that. And into that narrative, and that's cool if that's your journey. But for somebody to step out of that, you should be able to have complete freedom to be able to live your life as you choose. So
Interesting.
that's it in a nutshell, I think.
Yeah. So this podcast is about, it's one body, one life, because it's been my personal mission to live to 120. And
Yep.
I see, obviously, from all the research that you've done and your own podcast Evolve, which is brilliant, by the way, that it feels like to me that you're on a similar mission, to learn and absorb as much as possible by being as curious as possible and to help yourself live optimally. So usually there's like a catalyst. Like for me, there was a few things in my life that made me want to live to 120 and be the best version of me. But what was the catalyst for you?
I think it's just been an ongoing journey, to be honest with you. And
Okay.
I don't know, it is what it is. Again, pivotal moments are interesting because you, like, even now, even just deciding to do this podcast today, or to do a post this morning, or
Yes.
to fast this morning, or to start off my day with this tea instead of something else, they all impact us. And I'm of the firm belief that all of these small decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis,
Yes.
they're the pivotal points.
Absolutely.
It's sometimes not so much the larger things that we do, like,
Yes.
fuck it, it's 2020, I'm going to change my health this year. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Look at me, everybody. I'm doing it. This is my New Year's resolution. Look at me doing it. Whereas if we can be conscious about the small things that we do, then it doesn't really need to be anything pivotal.
Yes.
As such, it just becomes a
Lifestyle.
lifestyle.
Absolutely.
And I some people need to go cold turkey, and I applaud them for that. They're just like, people in disease, people in a shit relationship, people that have held back their authentic voice and self from themselves and from others. Some people need to do a real fucking big purge. Like, I want to get it all out now.
Yeah.
I've got to get it out. Whereas others, it might just be more of a gradual journey. It's like, okay, you know what? Usually I have 2 coffees a day.
Yeah.
Tomorrow, I might try 1.
Yes.
And I'm not going to beat myself up if I go for that second one. But my intention is to tweak that part of my life. And they might get through the week, and 2 of the days they might have had 1 coffee, and the rest of it they had their 2 coffees a day. But then at the next week they might look at something else and go, you know what, maybe I'll just tweak this thing, or maybe I'll get up half an hour earlier and sit in the sun and feel that warmth on my body and feel those nurturing rays, or do a meditation.
Yeah.
And they might do it once a week, even though they're like, well, maybe I'll try to do it 5 times a week, but they might just do it once a week, and that might be enough for that person.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Which then creates a little bit more space, a little bit more opening to be able to do something else. And what I do, nobody should copy. What you do, nobody should copy.
Yes.
What somebody else does, nobody should copy. Because one of the traps that we fall into, and I've been guilty of this myself, is once you think you've worked it out for yourself, you want everybody else to know.
Yes.
Hey, if you get up at 5 a.m. and you look at the sunrise for 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're doing your meditation down on the beach and you're living this life, and then you fast till 12 o'clock and I don't eat this, I only eat 20 grams of carbohydrates a day, and make sure you listen to your binaural beats of the nighttime.
Yes.
Make sure you don't watch that mainstream news, because that's evil and it's going to mess with your energy field. And, let's remove all our toxic relationships because they're not woke.
Yes.
And I'm going to be here like this. And oh fuck! I'm a little bit lonely now. What's going on? Well, that's okay. Loneliness is okay. It's for us to work through, and
so funny.
Everybody has a different journey.
Absolutely.
And no one should. This is my perception, I believe. Nobody should copy somebody else.
Yes.
Because it's a thing that I get asked all the time. What time do you have your first meal? What do you drink? Do you drink alcohol? What's your thoughts on this?
Well, you're very influential, Pete.
But that's the crazy thing. Why would somebody think that I'm influential?
Because you're authentic, because you've stepped into your power and you're not afraid to share. That's part of
correct,
the reason, yes.
But my goal is not to influence.
You just naturally do.
No, well,
you can't help it.
I interviewed
it's a good thing.
I interviewed a very dear friend of mine recently, and I'm of the belief that we're all equal. No one is above or below anybody else.
Of course.
there are people that are skilled, more highly skilled in certain things. You know?
Yes.
I could not build a house, but I could probably learn how to do it if I spent the amount of time to learn how to do it properly.
Yes.
I am not a surgeon. However, I'm sure if I spent the time with the professionals to teach me how to do that, I could learn that. I am pretty good at cooking, and I can teach anybody to do it equally as good, and you might even be able to do it better than me if you practice.
Yes.
And when I spoke to my dear friend on my podcast, she was telling me about a situation where she was with a spiritual guru or master, and she goes, it was one of the most profound things, because I sat at his feet and I listened to his words. And I said to her, I actually cut her off, I think, and I said, why did you sit at their feet?
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, they're a spiritual master. I said, well, any spiritual master would not make anybody, would see everybody as equal. And I said, that's possibly a question that we need to ask each and every one of us. Why do we follow an influencer?
Yes.
Even that word means to influence somebody.
Yes.
I do not see myself as an influencer.
Well, I guess it's because you're a celebrity and you're in the spotlight.
What does that mean? I mean, if nobody wrote about me, then nobody would hear it. If everyone unfollowed me on social media, I wouldn't mind.
Yes.
It doesn't worry me.
Absolutely.
My social media is a place where I get to express myself, and I'm not wanting to change anybody. I have ideas about the planet, if we could all support regenerative agriculture, if we could maybe turn some of our sugar cane fields into hemp fields. Maybe if we turn some of that into grazing land that was rotated so that we bring back topsoil. I have these ideals or ideas that I would encourage people to look into, because it will actually have a flow-on effect, not only for myself, but for my children and your children and their children. Yeah. So I have ways in which I express myself for the planet that I hope may raise questions. Maybe that's influencing.
Yes.
But it's a fascinating time, because when we grow up, we see our parents as authorities. We see our government as the authorities, or we see the doctors as our experts. We see this, and it's nearly like we're giving away a little piece of ourselves to somebody else to look after us, because we don't have the power in ourselves. And I understand when we're children, babies, we need that. It's part of our evolutionary biology, where we actually need protection. We need shelter. We need somebody to feed us. But there has to, in my opinion, has to be a time where we actually re-own who we are, and it's not taking back power, but it's empowering ourselves that we are 100% responsible for that little action of, what are we drinking? What are we sleeping? What are we watching? Who are we watching?
Yeah.
Who are we listening to? Like, I am not a perfect human being. I am perfect in my imperfection.
Yes.
And I'm not here to save anybody or do anything other than what I feel I want to do in this journey. But it's an interesting space, especially right now.
Absolutely. Which brings me to the next question, because we know you don't hold back as a truth seeker, and we adore your passion for and your authenticity in wanting to share information. But at what point throughout your career did you gain that confidence to start sharing your opinions and views with the world?
Funnily enough, I was of the belief for so many decades that my voice didn't matter, and that I think it started when I was a kid. I remember either grandparents or my father or someone used to say, I don't know who it was, but little kids should be seen and not heard.
Yes.
What the fuck is
yes,
that?
Yeah.
Think about that for programming for little children that just want to be seen and loved and connected by the people that they love. And then you've got the little kids should be seen and not heard, Go to your bedroom. This is where the adults are, or whatever that may be,
Yeah.
All of a sudden you're programmed to a degree. And if you hear that over and over, and some people like to say that over and over, you know, and
Yes.
you all have your own version of potentially what that was, or heard of somebody. You might have gone to a friend's house and you see how their parents talk to them, or the kids talk to their parents. You're like,
Whoa.
ooh,
Yeah.
ooh. You said that to your mum and dad? Or,
Yes.
oh, fuck, I feel so sad for you because your parents speak to you like that.
Yes. Yeah.
And so all of these little things that we witness and are aware of impact us. So for me, I went through a long, long period of my life of not being heard, not thinking that I mattered. And I created the belief around that
Right.
through incidents that happened in my life. Now, that's just my perception. It doesn't mean that it's true. It's just it was true for me.
Yes.
Somebody else might have been seeing it through a different lens of perception, and they would have had a different belief pattern or system that they would have developed from the same thing based on their own life story.
Yes.
And I remember this. I watched Bill Burr. I think his documentary or his stand-up comedy routine is called Paper Tiger. I think it's on Netflix. And he stood up there and he said a joke, right? And someone in the crowd heckled him. And it's one of the most truthful things I've ever heard. He goes, I said something that everybody in the audience heard, but you, when you heard it, it went through your brain, your childhood brain, and all the
Yes.
experiences that you've ever had in your life, and filtered it or translated it in from your perception
Yes.
of what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And it was literally like every single person in that auditorium or that stage show would have heard that joke, and based on their own belief systems, their identity, their perception of life, would have interpreted it
In their way.
as they interpret it, you
Yes.
know?
Yeah.
It's like me cooking a dish, you know, you might love it. Someone else might go, it needs more salt. Someone might go, it's too salty.
Yes.
You know,
Completely.
the joys
Individual.
of being a chef, I tell you, or the joys of being a comedian, or the joys of presenting information out there.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
So
Okay.
in saying all of that, I have done a lot of work over the years to help find my blocks or
Yes.
my insecurities
Yes.
that I've held on to, or my belief patterns, and
Okay.
explored them.
Yep.
You know, why don't I say something when somebody says something like that? You know, and I used to be a people pleaser.
Yes.
You know, that was one of my things. Pete's a really nice boy, and they used to write about me. And when I started television, they go, Pete's the boy next door. He's so nice. His eyes are this, and he's so nice.
And now look what they're writing.
I'm exactly the same person.
Exactly.
You know, I am exactly pretty much the same person.
Yeah.
I believe I'm a nice fella, but nice. People like nice because he doesn't question anything. He just
Yes.
goes along with the flow, and that was my belief system. That because I didn't want to upset my family,
Of course.
my friends, my bosses.
Of course.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll be the teacher's pet.
Yeah.
You know, and to be honest with you, I haven't changed who I am. All I've done is looked at some of these
Gotten
things
louder.
that weren't authentic to myself.
Yeah.
And now it's just like, you know, and even now I'm not attacking mainstream media or medical professions or whatever it is. I'm not attacking them. And you can see that through everything that has been written about me. I've never cast the first stone that's my perception anyway.
Yes. Yeah.
But when things are written about me that are untrue, I could I'll cop that. I'll cop that.
Yes.
Or it's like, well, you know what? Why do you say that? Because, for instance, the president of the Australian Medical Association wanted my film, The Magic Pill, taken off Netflix because he said it was dangerous.
Ah.
It was misleading. It was giving people false hope.
Wow.
And I put back the question. I said, how can eating organic fruits and vegetables and well-sourced
Exactly.
meat and seafood,
With
where
false
is
hope.
the evidence that you have that says this is detrimental to human beings? You know, and just asking that question.
Yes.
Some people think that's defiant,
Yeah.
but they're screaming or they're yelling or they're stating for something that I've created could be harmful. If it's harmful, show me the evidence.
Yes. Yeah.
You've created the statement or the argument. Prove it.
Back it up. Yeah.
Prove it.
Exactly.
And that's all I do. It's like, and with mainstream media, for instance, and I've been a part of it. And I love it. And I love modern medicine. I do. I'm a huge fan of science and
There's a place for
the
everything, isn't there?
new technologies, but I'm also a big fan of Indigenous culture and their wisdom, and
Yes.
ancient culture and natural health. And I'm a big fan of alternative media too. And sometimes they get it right, sometimes they get it wrong.
Absolutely.
Sometimes mainstream media get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. Sometimes alternative health get it right, sometimes they get it wrong. Sometimes modern medicine gets it wrong,
Yeah.
and we know that. And sometimes they get it right. So, but if you can't ask the question of why are they getting that wrong? Why are there people suffering from the experts? And why are people suffering from not the experts as well? I'm happy to question all sides, and
And rightly
because I
so.
feel like let's get to the truth.
Yep.
And it's like vaccines, for instance, at the moment, there seems to be a large, a growing number of people that have been what they would term injured over the years, and their
Yes.
children and themselves from vaccines. And now, a year ago, if I had have brought this up, you'd probably be sitting there going, "Oh, don't talk about this, Pete. This is really controversial." Right? But now they're talking about vaccinating everybody on the planet for this
Exactly.
virus that
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be as dangerous as they once thought, as in the total number of fatalities, and I'm not discounting what's happening in the world, but all of a sudden they're saying we need to vaccinate for this across the board.
Yep.
Nothing can go back to normal.
Doesn't make
But then
sense.
then I meet parents and kids that have been supposedly injured by a vaccine.
Yes.
Like, ooh, well, what percentage is it?
Yeah,
Is
exactly.
it 1%? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it less than 0.0000001? Let's find out what those answers are that are non-biased, that are truly authentic, so that if and when a new vaccine comes out, such as something for COVID-19, let's ask, what is the percentage of people that may be injured from this?
Yes.
And what will those injuries look like?
Yeah.
Will it pertain to death? Will it pertain to paralysis? Will it lead to an autoimmune disease? Could it lead to cancer?
Yeah.
Or could it lead to a really robust, beautiful, strong immune system where, pow,
Yeah.
we're supercharged?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know, but I feel like there's probably a growing number of people that are like, you're rushing through something that hasn't been tested before or had rigorous long-term tests done on it. And what I mean by long-term is, how do you know that if you don't get a reaction to something within the week or two of trials that they've tested, that you won't get a reaction in a year or
track,
5 years or
yes.
10 years or 20 years?
Exactly.
These are simple, what I would call common sense questions, but
Yes.
apparently people do not like you asking them.
No, of course. Well, they don't have the answers. They haven't done the studies.
They may or they may not. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the same with new technologies that are coming out.
Yes.
It's can you prove safety? I don't know. I hear from one side it's completely safe. You got nothing to worry about. Then the other side's like, hey, this could be really problematic for so many
Yes.
people. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
People say, what's your opinion? I go, I don't know.
Yeah.
How about we ask the question and ask for the evidence
Yes.
from all sides,
Exactly.
and then get some really smart people together that
Yep.
love working this shit out.
Yes.
And then they can present their information out there that's non-biased and completely not cherry-picked, for instance.
Yes.
And let's see what happens.
Absolutely.
And then I'm of the belief that if things are rushed through, or if we don't have those mechanisms in place for the truth to come out, well, we may have to go through some pain as a society or a population or individually, like we have seen in the past. And this is why I'm fascinated about the mainstream media's persecution of anybody that asks these questions,
Yeah.
because it's like, well, once upon a time, doctors used to say cigarettes were fine for everybody,
Exactly.
even pregnant
Women.
Yep.
Yep.
women. So where is the best thing we can ever do, I believe, is look back through history and go, okay, what have we got right?
Yes.
How did this work as a community for the betterment of the community?
Yeah.
And let's have a look at the things that didn't really end up panning out that well for the community. And information that once was thought robust, the science is in cigarettes are great, everybody should be smoking them. Even doctors are smoking them. And certain things like that have happened over the years, it's like we turn a blind eye to them and go, well, that will never happen again because we're so much smarter now. We're so much not connected to the dollar like we once were. We're living in a free
Sure.
society where we're cultivating love, and our main purpose is not the currency or the energetic currency of greed and power and control. I look out the window and everyone is in this wonderful state of unconditional love and helping each other to make the world a better place.
If only.
Well, and that's the question. We've come together for this virus, and to even question the virus itself and not wearing a mask or the social distancing or getting the flu shot to protect the vulnerable. So, well, I hear you, I respect you. But let me ask you this question. You're concerned about what's happening to potentially this community here. But if we look at the worldwide situation, like on a fucking pretty, let's get the magnifying glass out there, or the binoculars, whatever you want to do, and go, well, why is racism still an issue? Why is there still starvation?
Yeah.
Why is there still war and conflict in the world?
Exactly.
Why is there this? Why are we focused on this one thing?
Yes.
That really isn't going to affect you.
Yes.
It really isn't. The statistics are there. Like, it will affect some people, but it's like this.
Yeah.
Whereas that is, when we're looking at the other issues of inequality in the world, are like that.
Absolutely.
We haven't come together as a population, as humanity, to address these other problems. But we're focusing on this little thing.
Yes. Yeah.
And we're all doing our bit for that.
Yeah. This doesn't add up.
But I love it because it proves that we've come together.
Yes. Yeah.
So if we can come together over something that's that, imagine what would happen if we all came together. The politicians, the world leaders, the experts, the public,
to solve the real problems of the world.
And we said, no more inequality, no more
Yes,
starvation,
yes.
no more of this. We've got enough food to feed the world. We've got the understanding of regenerative farming practices that we can start to play in.
Yeah.
We possibly can look at different ways of, I don't know, it's just.
But we've all come together because of the fear and the media, and the work that they've done in selling it to us.
Yeah, fear is a driving force. And I think someone told me the other day, that money, once upon a time, food was our main focus. It was our like every other creature in the world, every other species, we need to eat. We need to eat. That's our number one priority.
Yeah.
It is our number one priority. Whereas now food has been replaced by money.
Exactly.
As our number one priority.
Yep. Exactly.
We're striving to get more. We're blinded by everything else because that's our thing. When I've spoken out before, it's interesting. People are like, the way that they've tried to stop me from speaking is, let's protest against the place of employment that he works for.
Oh, yeah.
Let's protest against the products that he endorses.
Yeah.
Let's hurt him or them where it hurts the most in their mind, which is financial.
Absolutely.
That's the mentality. And then the people that even comment out against me on my own social media, they're like, you're just in this to make money.
Yeah.
And so people are coming from a belief system that
It's money
from
driven.
money.
Yes.
Money driven across the board. And
Yeah.
if that is sort of where we're at the
Yeah,
moment,
exactly. Got a hell of a long way to go.
wow,
Yeah.
it's so, whoa, how could we even get to that next step? Well, we're focused on something that is nearly make believe.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
That will never have enough, and I'll only be happy if I get that, because
Yeah.
then I'll have the money, and there's hardships out there. I understand that, and I'm not dismissing money as a thing, but I feels like it's the common energetic currency of our planet at the moment. And I could be wrong in that. It's just a little perception that I have,
Yeah, yeah.
But imagine if our currency was love and tenderness and solution based, and looking at everything on this wonderful planet that we have.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
That's and I'm not the expert on that. I tell you what, but there are some wonderful people out there that can change the world through
Yes.
the solutions that they've created.
Yeah.
That if only they were rolled out, could help so many.
Yeah.
So we need to find solutions, and perhaps the first solution that we can have is our own voice, our own health, our own empowerment, because from that, you've got energy, you've got
Yes.
motivation, you've
Flourish.
got your passion for whatever it is that you've chosen to do with your life.
Yeah.
Some people are activists.
Yes.
Some people are artists. They'll
Yeah.
change the world through their medium of painting or music or whatever it may be, creating a film that will create change. Some people will teach other people to dance or to love or to make love in a different way, like tantra or whatever it
Yes.
may be, or
Yeah.
teach people to meditate,
Yeah.
which could garden, whatever it may be. So that's the magic. But to get to that, we need to, I think, feel good, empowered,
Yes. Yeah.
responsible for our own actions. And
Yes.
from that, the magic happens, and then we come together because we're feeling good.
Yes.
We're not in pain. And
What an ideal world.
and
That would be
I do
nice.
believe, I honestly believe that the government, the people, the politicians, the medical experts, I have to believe that they're all in it for the betterment of the planet. I have to believe that,
Yeah.
and they may be just using the information that they've got currently
Yes.
for where they're at.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
Possibly.
That's cool. And I would invite them all to even question their own beliefs in that,
Absolutely.
Can I be doing more for the people that have trusted me with the power or the authority to make these decisions for the public, for the land, for the other species that inhabit, for the future generations. And
Yes.
that's I think, if each and every person can answer that truthfully without lying, and then set the intention, okay, everything I do will be for the betterment of not only myself, but for my fellow human beings and for the other species that inhabit us, and the microbiome in the soil, and for the planet,
Absolutely.
I don't think that's a ridiculous thing
No.
to create.
We've got a long way to go, though. But so tell us about, grow through what you go through is one of my favourite sayings, and watching your journey has been really interesting. So tell us, how have you grown as a person, and particularly with your learnings in dealing with the mainstream media? How have you grown, and what continues to drive you? And do you feel alone, or are you supported?
Oh, they're good questions. How do I answer that? Let me have a think about that for a second. So the first question with the mainstream media is...
how have you grown, and how have you learnt to deal with them?
It's interesting. I think they love me.
Yes, they do. You've given them so much content to work with.
But
and I
find
think
it really
you've really
interesting.
worked with, you use them to your advantage as well, quite clearly,
Well,
No,
it's not so
I
much
don't know if it's conscious.
to my
but-
advantage. So where are we today? I think it's Thursday,
Yes.
and we're in June now, 2020.
Yeah.
And this year's been amazing. I just sat down with 60 Minutes with Liz Hayes
Yes.
2 weeks ago, and we spent 2 days together. And
Yep.
the concept of the story that they pitched to me is, why are people starting to question mainstream?
Yep.
And they said, we would like you to speak on that. I said, okay, well,
Great.
I'm happy to, just like what I've spoken about here.
Yes.
How they put that out to the world will be interesting, and I understand how the game works.
Yes.
And I could have chosen to play it or not to play it.
Yes.
But I followed my intuition. I thought, you know what? They're going to put somebody out there.
Yes. Yeah. Might as well be you.
I got no fear in that.
Yes.
Because I'm not pointing fingers to anybody.
Yes.
I'm not, this has to happen. I'm just sitting here having a chat like this.
Yeah.
So that was interesting that they invited me onto that. And because I'm not with a network at the moment, I'm I guess what you would call free.
Yes.
In the space where, when you are in the past, I've been exclusive to a network.
Yes.
So I could never appear on any other network because it was part of my contract. Whereas now, in the last 2 weeks, I've been approached by Channel 10, Channel 9, and other media outlets to have a chat. And it's like, and my question back to them is, surely there's better stories to be out there following than my story. Like, there seems to be so much going on in the world, like major things going on in the world that seems to have some inaccuracies or maybe some things that need further investigation. Why aren't you following that up? And why the fascination here? Because I'm not really doing anything.
Yes.
I'm not creating a political party. I'm not creating, I'm not doing anything other than sharing some recipes and sharing some ideas of my own.
Yes.
And that I'm still curious about. I'll put a post up and I'll get, what are your thoughts on this?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Whether it be something about Trump or whether it be something about
5G.
something else, I'll just go, what are your thoughts?
Yes. Yeah.
And what I do is I have a little look and I go, okay, well, these people have got this idea. These people have got this idea. What makes sense? Because then I can see all sides.
Yes,
and I tell you, I see all sides in this.
Of course you do.
And so the mainstream media has been interesting because some of the things that I am looking for the answers for, they regurgitate them to a larger audience. And hopefully then those people reading it will
start questioning.
Just like on my social media, it'll be like, they've got their opinion, they've got their opinion, they've got their opinion, they've got their opinion based on what their life journey is.
Yes, yeah.
And it's like, okay, cool. More people now are aware and talking about this.
Yes.
So second question.
Okay, was what continues to drive you? Because it feels like there's, you deal with so much every day with your posts and the backlash and, being slandered for your comments and criticised. And what continues to drive you? And are you supported? Do you feel that you've got, enough people in your team?
Well, yeah, and that's irrelevant anyway. Like, I don't do it for self-gratification or or creating a team. Again, that's division.
Yeah.
It's division between, that creates judgment, right, wrong, good, bad, yes, no. And through my own experiences, we're all one, we're all connected. We just have different ways of looking at the world based off our experiences so far.
Yeah.
So I see no separation in us. So the support is even that. I mean, I get many messages every day of support. Keep doing what you're doing.
Great.
Don't ever stop. And it's like, well, I appreciate your encouragement or enthusiasm, but even that, you're telling me not to stop.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas somebody else is telling me to stop. It's like,
you're the brave one, Pete. You're brave.
Well, no, it just comes back to that boy again.
Have you been surprised at how much support you've received and how vocal your audience is?
It's interesting. I don't get to see too much. I mean, I get messages. I mean, over the years, I've had lots and lots of messages from people that have improved their health, through the diet that we've had. And that's been remarkable to see that. And so many beautiful, positive stories of kids and parents and grandparents and feeling amazing and getting to do the things that they love. And, that's beautiful. You know,
Yes,
who could find fault in that? You
absolutely.
know, and I think that is amazing. So there's a lot of people out there that love feeling good, and
Sure.
you know, I don't think I'm doing anything differently now than I ever have. I share recipes every day and share different understandings. I think just we're in a really interesting period of time at the moment where
Absolutely.
something's just, for me anyway, they're just not making sense. You
Yep.
know, and I know everybody's doing the best that they can do with the information that they have. You know, whether it's
Yes.
our health authorities and whatever. You know, and I congratulate them. That's a big big task that they all have,
Yep.
and it can't be easy. And I'm not here to make make it harder for anybody, but I definitely have questions about all of these things, like other people do. You know, and
Yes.
they're simple questions. It's like, why are there doctors that are talking about a healthy immune system,
Yes.
and they're being silenced or censored
Yep.
by telling people or teaching people that, you know, if you have some vitamin C or some turmeric or get some
Yep.
vitamin D, have some vitamin K or get vitamin A and selenium, that these might, and vitamin E, I think it is,
Yep.
these might be really good for helping for any virus, you know.
Yes. Yep. Exactly.
And then some of these people are talking about these experts, these professional doctors, and their content is being removed and they're being deplatformed, which seems really strange. That
Yes.
to me is worth a question. Why is
Yes.
that? Like,
Yeah.
is that dangerous information that they're sharing? And you know, and then my question back is, why are not our health authorities in this country and others talking about this? You know,
Yes. Yeah.
where is their information to talk about immune system? Because this virus and other ones attack the immune system, apparently.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
So if it attacks a compromised immune system, wouldn't common sense tell people, the authorities or the experts, to tell people, hey, listen, we've got this thing that's going to attack your immune system or compromise it, and if you already have a compromised immune system, this is what our scientific evidence says you might like to do.
Yes.
You know, and it could be, you know, something simple: eat healthy, go to bed early, get some sun, maybe don't do too much rigorous exercise, maybe get your hands in the soil if you've got an organic garden, and that could be really healthy. You know, I don't know whether these are the answers to those questions, but all I've heard is wash your hands with sanitizer and wash it with soap and keep your distance, and which is great information. But it's like, is there anything else you can offer people? And I asked a journalist this the other day. It was actually the 60 Minutes journalist, and we're having a chat on the phone about why are people questioning the mainstream.
Yes.
And it was when I was deciding whether to do the interview or not. And I asked her that question. I said, why? And she said, well, it's common sense, Pete. Everyone knows how to look after their immune system.
Please.
And I went, well, it might be common sense for you.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
you look good. You seem to be full of vitality. You know, so whatever you're doing seems to be right. And you know, I know how to look after my immune system, but I'm always willing to learn more from the experts.
Yeah.
But I said, if it was common sense, then do you think we would have the rate of inflammation that we have in the population at the moment?
Yeah.
We seem to have a population that is, a lot of them are dependent, or I don't know what percentage, but dependent on pharmaceutical medication.
Exactly.
They're dependent on doctors. They're dependent, and perhaps they've got a compromised immune system. So if it was common sense, wouldn't everybody be having the vitality? And even if it is common sense, doesn't mean that people have to act out on it.
Yeah.
But let's just say, for instance, that it wasn't common sense. And I still think it would be in the best interests for the public to know
Absolutely.
how to,
Or be
how
reminded.
to maintain,
Yeah.
or be reminded, or be encouraged to, when you see the billboards out there from the government or the TV commercials out there, it's like, well, just add a little thing, you know.
Yes.
Our National Health Minister and their team of experts have said, you know, if you can, get some vitamin C, if that was their advice,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
And because I'm sure they've got that information.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
sure they have it. And maybe it's just overlooked. Maybe it's just like, oh no, that's not important for now because we've got bigger issues at play, like the spread of the virus.
Yes.
So, I would like to think that everybody's doing the best that they can.
So
But,
tell us. Yep.
I don't know.
I hear you. So obviously being a personality on mainstream television is how you've built your career. So how do you continue to work in that space knowing how manipulated and sensationalized it all is?
Well, I didn't build my career through mainstream media.
Okay.
I ran restaurants for 20 years, our own restaurants. So
Right.
that was one of my careers.
Okay.
Which was cooking professionally as a chef.
Yes.
And career is writing recipes and sharing that. My career is creating documentaries or television shows of my own.
Yes.
And alongside with that, because we are allowed to do more than one thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
People like to label someone as this or that, whereas we're human beings and we're capable of everything.
Absolutely.
Whatever our hearts desire.
Yep.
Wherever paths that we like to do, and we can multitask. I can be a chef or a home cook while I'm doing that. I can be a parent as well at the same time. I can be a student by listening to a podcast. I can be a teacher or a sharer of information like our elders are, depending on what we choose to share.
Yeah.
So we can do many, 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 many things in this life. And to pigeonhole even what you just said, my career is built off mainstream. It's like, well, not.
Well,
yes
what
and
we
no.
know, really, isn't it? It's what our limited knowledge of you.
Yeah, and that therein is something that I'm wanting to share as well. That we are not our label.
Yes.
That other people put onto us.
Yes.
We are not our political affiliation. We're not our religious beliefs. We are not. I mean, we are and we're not. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we are. I like to go by the label of human being.
Yes.
And that's sort of. If
Earthling.
we all went by the label of a human being, without the other labels between politics, religion, career, whatever it may be, then I think it could be a lot simpler for us. But then we express ourselves through these choices or these beliefs that we have. So we express ourselves as a Christian or a Buddhist or an atheist or a spiritual being.
Yeah.
And we respect each other for that. We have skilled people that are great at cooking, great at building, great at putting in rules for the safety of the community, whether it's police rules or whatever it may be. We need those things to a degree.
Yeah.
And there are great people with great minds to do that. There's great people that discover new scientific discoveries and they bring them out into the public, and all of a sudden we all benefit from that.
Yes.
And it's not that person is better than the person that's growing our food, or the politician is no better than the school teacher. We're all equal.
Yes.
And the hierarchical system is an interesting one. The bloodline system is an interesting one. All of these things we can start to then question and bring down to what is it? Why do we have so much division? Why do we have so much judgment on certain things? And I'm guilty of it too. I catch myself going, oh, that wasn't a really good thought that you just had there, Pete. Where's that come from?
You're human.
I might read a comment and go, yeah, that's a good one. Or I might read one and go, that was it. So, it's a constant journey for me to hopefully stay at a place of neutrality.
Yes.
And not be triggered or pass judgment on all of these things. And I find it all fascinating, to be honest with you. It's like, this is interesting. That people are writing about me and changing my words. Like, wow.
Yes.
That's pretty out there. And like, fascinating.
But
I have no control over that.
Of course. But do you feel like, are you at all exhausted, or is it affecting you and your work and your, I guess, work potential in any way?
No.
No, okay, good.
I have 24 hours a day like everybody else, and I only do what I feel like I can take on
Nice.
and express.
Yep.
So yesterday I had a wonderful surf. I had a great time with the kids for the last week, and so much joy and fun. And today is this is my third podcast that I've done.
Amazing.
I was a guest on other one, and I interviewed somebody for my podcast.
Yes, yeah.
And tonight I've got a healing happening for me, you know, through a different channel, which will be like a meditation type scenario for me, which I feel like it's
Beautiful.
perfect timing today after a day of speaking.
Yes.
My next thing is to shut up,
Yeah.
and
Balance it all out.
relax. And you know, it's fascinating. I mean, even yesterday I went for a surf in Sydney, and when I hopped out of the surf, I had my board and I'm walking up the stairs, and you know, something caught my vision. I was like, "That's a little strange. What is that?" And there was a guy there dressed in black with his long lens photo, the paparazzi taking my photo.
Oh,
And it took me a minute to work out. I'm like, what is that? You know, so
yeah.
I'm squinting as I'm walking and I'm wet. I was like, it's a paparazzi. Here we go.
Wow.
And even in the past, I've sort of been like, oh, you know, it's a bit of an invasion of privacy.
Yes, yeah.
And usually it's a trigger for me if I've got my kids and my
Of
wife
course,
there, you know.
yeah.
When
of
I'm by
course.
myself, I'm like, fuck,
Go for it, yeah. Knock yourself out.
You know, because I'm not protective in that space.
Yes,
you know? So,
yes.
You know, but you know, when you've got little kids and you know you're at the beach and you've gone for a surf and you might be taking off their wetsuit.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
You don't want people invading that space.
Absolutely.
You know, or with your partner and you're having a cuddle or whatever it may be, a kiss. You don't really want to know that there's someone over there taking your photo.
Yeah.
But yeah, yesterday I was like, okay, this is interesting. I'm just by myself. There's this media attention on me at the moment. There's the paparazzi. So I just smiled and I walked up to them and I sat down and I shook their hands. I said, hey, how are you fellas? And I ended up having a 45-minute chat with the two of them.
Amazing.
And I learned all about one of them. I learned about his story. He's from Jamaica, and he told me about his grandmother taught him about how to use the nature from where he came from as medicine.
Beautiful.
You know, and we went in, and his mother is a is a midwife, and his brother is a doctor, I believe. And we had this most amazing 45-minute chat. Me wet in my wetsuit.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I could have perceived as a threat or a judgment, and you know,
Yes.
icky picky, you know, what are they here for?
Yes.
Play the victim.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is an opportunity.
Yes.
And all it was a shift of perception.
Yeah.
By me. Instead of catching my old thought pattern or belief pattern about the paparazzi,
yep.
I was like, you know what, this is
work with it.
Let's try something different. You know, what would happen if I went over there and shook their hand and smiled at them and said, what's your name? You know, and all of a sudden, I felt like we've connected.
Beautiful.
If I see him again next time and I'm with my kids, I might be like, not today.
Yeah,
you know, come on, please. You know.
Yeah.
But you know, I don't know. I don't know what the next adventure with them will be. But
does it affect you at all in a negative way? Have you ever reached a point where, or particularly in recent times?
With what?
Has it reached a point at all in recent times where it's affected you in a negative way? Because obviously you overwhelm them with your love and your beautiful personality, but has there ever been a time when it's actually been the opposite? And
yeah, when I was young, when I first started, I think it was early days in the TV show I used to host, and my children were quite young. There were some people in that space, like the paparazzis, which invaded what I would call common decency.
Yeah, right.
And what I would call, you know, common sense of where the boundaries are for personal space when you're with children.
Yes.
You know, and knowing what I know about that there is some people out there that take advantage of the vulnerable, you know, and I had no idea really until friends had told me about what have happened to them in the past when they were kids. You know, I didn't grow up in that. I had no it doesn't even compute now.
Yes.
How that could happen, how
Yeah.
anybody could do that to a child.
Yeah.
So I never had that. But it was strange when I used to have these paparazzis up there. I was like, this isn't
feel
right.
right.
This,
Yeah.
where are these photos going to go to?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Who are you taking the photo, and what have you seen? Even that thought disgusts me.
Yes.
But now I've seen parts of the world where fucking some dodgy shit goes down,
Yeah.
in that space, and it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why I got onto this topic, but it's
Well, it's more about I asked you about does it affect you in a negative way, and how do you protect yourself from all of that?
yeah, and the options that I have or had at that time was, don't take my kids to the beach.
Yeah, right. Do you feel safe, Pete?
How can I live a life like that where that to me is a wonderful experience to share as a father and kids, but I don't want to create fear around it by knowing that there's people out there with cameras. And it was funny, like for the last 3 or 4 years, had no paparazzi after. None of it. It's like you're not in the cool group anymore of people that want to take your photo. It became Married at First Sight or this other show, and I'm sitting back going, this is nice. I'm not on the list. But for some reason, the last 2 weeks, I'm back on the list for some reason.
So it feels like you're the only one on the list.
That happened.
Interesting. So let's talk about your work. So obviously you've got so many amazing books you've released. You've got Heal 101, which is your latest, 101 Ways. You've also got the Magic Pill documentary, and you've got a new one that's coming out titled Plant Medicines. Tell us a little bit about that, and when can we expect to see that?
They'll come out when they're ready.
Okay.
And I'm not sure exactly how they're going to come out. I always go with what flows.
Yep.
So I don't know. The last one went to Netflix for a couple of years, which was the Magic Pill.
Yes.
I might start a new platform where I keep all the content that I've created into one place, and maybe do live videos and podcasts and events on one platform.
Great idea.
Because that might, and it could be, it'd probably be subscription based.
Yes.
And, which will then create an income stream, so then I can keep creating content.
Yes.
Because it does cost money.
Of course. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So the fairy godmother comes down and goes, oh, there you go. We'll create it all for you. It doesn't work like that yet. But so that's probably it. I don't know when, but I would say in the next couple of months, there'll be a new platform that I can share information from, and people have a choice then whether they want to come to it or not.
Awesome. It's great.
I might have upset too many people lately by whatever. Who knows?
Yeah.
People might watch 60 Minutes this Sunday night and go,
yeah. Are you nervous
Who
about
knows?
it, the way they edit it?
No, not at all.
I was asked to go on a current affair to talk about 5G because I'm heading up myself and a fellow resident have started up a group a campaign against 5G because they proposed a tower near my home, and a current affair wanted to interview us, and we decided against it only because we know they'll interview us for an hour and only take out a 2-minute snippet, and that's us, and I guess you probably know how to work it better and what to say and what not to say, but so it's going to be interesting to see 60 Minutes on Sunday night, and obviously there's going to be a lot of backlash from that as well. No doubt.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know, and I have no expectation.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, it's the best way to go into it.
Once you remove your expectation, I have an inkling of how it will probably go.
Yes.
And I knew that stepping into it as well.
Yeah.
But I also had the thought of, this actually has got nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
What may happen from presenting myself in that position, I don't know. It's like, this is interesting.
Yes.
I've been invited.
Yeah.
And now it's my choice.
Yes.
And we'll go back to, choosing what am I going to do today?
Yes. Yeah.
I was like, well,
Okay.
that's an interesting choice. Yes or no? If I say no, what are the reasons behind that?
Yes. Yeah.
Have I got fear?
Yeah.
What is it? What is that fear? And if I say yes, what is the reason for that? Is it ego? Is it wanting to be right?
Yeah.
Is it standing up for a community?
Yeah.
these are all questions that we
go through.
Yeah, It's not just one thing. It's like,
Yeah.
This seems like a pivotal sort of point in my life.
Yeah.
And I evaluated the pros and the cons, and then I was like, fuck, I actually don't know. There's so many things. I was like, that's a good reason why to do it. And then there's other ones going, maybe, that's not the right path at the right time. And so I had to sit on it for a few days.
Fair enough.
And then I got a message from the reporter, who's Liz Hayes, and she explained that she said she has family members that are like questioning things now. She goes, I'm actually curious about to hear your point of view. And I was like,
okay.
Well, that seems like a nice place to come from.
Yeah.
And I know that the ads that have already gone out show me in the light that they would like to show me for the ads. And you have to understand that a TV commercial is nearly like the bait to bring people in.
Of course.
So they'll use the if you're go out fishing, the smellier the bait, the more that you'll attract.
Exactly.
And it's like with the TV commercial, we'll throw out the smelly, juicy bit, to get people like, ooh, this is going to be juicy.
Yeah.
And then you've seen it before. And I think there was a classic example a few weeks ago with Kyle Sandilands.
Yes.
And then it ended up being nothing. And perhaps that's going to be what people will see. Or they're like, that's a bit, that could have, I was expecting Pete to be controversial.
Yes, yeah.
And all they got was this, because this is all that I did with them as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So
I'm sorry, I'm sure you could probably take a grab of what we've spoken about today and edit it in a way to make it smelly and juicy.
I'm sure we could. I'm sure. But tell us, you're clearly very committed to your ongoing self-education and sharing that information. So you mentioned about you having a different platform, but what's next for Pete Evans?
I ask that question a lot to myself, There's days where I'm like, you know what? I just want to grow food and live on the land and travel this country and meet our Indigenous brothers and sisters and learn from them and learn maybe how to build something, learn something new, which is completely removed from the public sphere.
Yeah.
And then there's other days where I'm like, well, I've still got a little bit more I want to do in this space.
Okay.
And so I take it day by day.
Yes.
And I can tell you, like, some days I'm like, you know what? I don't feel like I want to post anything. I just, today I'm just going to hang out with the kids, but then other times I'm like, you know what? Nah, I might post 5 things today or 10 things. And I don't have a structure to it.
Okay.
And
you're in a flow state.
I do think there's some important topics that we can question or share or find some answers to at the moment. And, hopefully we come together as a community, with the leaders, with the experts, with the public, and create a beautiful new world together.
Awesome.
We have to do it together. There's not one person that's going to do it. That's for sure. And I'm not that person. I've had friends. I've had good friends. I'm like, you ever thought about going into politics?
Yeah.
And they're like, why are you asking me that, Pete? I'm like, because I ain't my journey. But people, you've got a great presence, and I could feel that you'd be wonderful in that thing, because you can be the bridge between, people respect you.
Yes.
That's not my journey, that's for sure.
Well, we just started working with Raymond Broomhall, who's in Tasmania, and he's a lawyer and he does a lot with the 5G towers, but he's just started his own political group called Stop 5G Inc. So I can see how easily that can happen. When you're so passionate about a topic. But tell us about, do you feel pigeonholed at all as Paleo Pete, or do you feel that you're so far removed now from that title?
Well, when I wake up in the morning and I go about my day, and when I go to bed, I have never seen myself with that label. That's for sure. So I can't control how anybody else sees me or
And
portrays me.
just a question on paleo, because I know a lot of because I taught yoga for so many years, and I know a lot of spiritualists are into, you know, veganism or vegetarianism to help reach spiritual enlightenment, if you like. Do you feel at all that there's any internal conflict with you and reaching a greater level of consciousness because you do consume animal products?
1000% not. No, no. We're all enlightened beings.
Yes. Yeah. So it doesn't.
We all are.
Yeah.
We are now, each and every one of us. We've just maybe distracted.
Yes. Okay.
From,
So
from
I guess
that.
it's coming more from that ahimsa, that non-harm, that non-violence perspective.
Well, that's a belief.
Yes. Yep.
That's a deep-rooted belief for some, or it's a newly adopted one for others.
Yes.
And it may be an opportunity for growth there. And if you choose not to consume animals, then I applaud you. And if you
Yes.
choose to consume animals from land or sea, I would encourage you to do the farmers or the fisher people that are doing it in the most respectful way.
Yeah.
And if you choose to eat junk food each and every day, then so be it. You know, I'm not going to judge anybody's
Yes.
way that they eat. I don't care,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. I have a preference
Yes.
of how I would like it to happen. So we don't have as many monocrops and we don't use as much glyphosate on our food.
Yeah.
And I would encourage, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, paleo, keto, carnivore, or standard Australian diet, that you support regenerative farming practices.
Yes. Yeah.
That would be my intention, or my ideal, is if we could support these people doing it. But to have a belief that you cannot become enlightened on a spiritual path because you consume meat,
Yes.
you have just basically said to every indigenous culture on the face of the planet that you have been doing it wrong.
Yes.
And I would happily ask a vegan or a vegetarian that holds that belief about spirituality and enlightenment to sit across from any indigenous elder and ask them, why do you, like in this country, why do you hunt goanna? Why do you eat kangaroo? Why do you hunt for stingray in September, or whatever it may be?
Yes.
What can you teach me? What can you teach me from your culture, from your history, from your tens of thousands of years living on this land, why you still continue to eat the flesh and fat and blood of another animal?
Yeah.
Are you so disconnected from your spirit? Are you so disconnected from your land? Are you so disconnected from what it means to be spiritually enlightened that you have not evolved to that state yet?
Yep.
I would love for that question to sit, and maybe I'll set that question up.
Yeah.
And it's not to be right or wrong.
No, of course.
But
it's a good answer. It's a great answer, because I've got a husband he's vegan, and he's been vegan for the last couple of years, and he always kind of throws that at me because I still eat meat like once a month, or however I feel, whatever my body needs at the time. So it's a great answer. So thank you.
and I would go back to your husband with, you just labeled him as vegan.
Yes.
He is a human being that is choosing not to eat meat at the moment. So
correct.
Careful not to identify yourself with an ideology.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, to be honest, what I don't eat is because my body can't tolerate. So I don't pigeonhole myself into any paleo or blood type, or, you know, any specific lifestyle or dietary, you know, practice, if you like. I just go with what works for my body.
And I've met people that sovereign beings or enlightened spiritual people, and they say they don't eat meat, and I've met other ones that do eat meat. So
each their own.
Who knows? Each to their own.
Yep, exactly. So tell us about your self-care practices. Obviously, I mean, you look after yourself very well, quite clearly. Give us a daily snapshot into your rhythms or rituals that you partake in for your health and well-being.
So daily practices is, very simple, really good nutrition.
Yes.
Preferably, really good sleep if we can.
Yep.
Connection to nature if we can.
Yep.
Play if we can. I just jumped on the trampoline before we had a chat.
Awesome.
being aware of our thoughts
Yep.
and our feelings
Yes.
and expressing them and our beliefs and seeing where there's opportunity for growth.
Awesome.
And it might be challenging, but maybe that's the path
Yep.
for you at the time, or maybe it's not.
Okay.
And then the last three things.
Yeah.
Tell
Top
me
three
what
things.
that was.
What are your top three? I know you've done lots of research, so we want to know your top 3 tips to living longer, stronger, happier, healthier life. Which you pretty much answered in the previous question, but give me 3.
Whatever resonates for you.
Do you want me to pick them for you?
No, because again,
Diet, movement, good relationships.
no, I mean, do what makes you happy.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good one.
It's as pretty simple as that, and you'll know when you're doing things that make you happy because
Yeah.
it'll be fun, it'll be effortless, it'll be
Yes.
congruent
Yep.
with your journey. If you're not doing the things that make you happy, then you might suffer a little disease somewhere.
Yes. Yep.
Whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's spiritual, whether it's just a little ache and pain or something, and then become the detective to see what that may be
Yes.
for you
Yep.
or not.
Yep.
I don't know.
Amazing. Thank you, Pete, so much for your time. It's been amazing having this conversation with you. And I know you're in hot demand right now, so I'm very, very grateful for your energy.
Thank you so much. Thanks for everybody for listening too.
No worries. Bye.
Thanks so much for joining me today. I really hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and follow me on our YouTube channel, One Body, One Life, to see more inspirational videos to help you reach optimal wellness and longevity. But until next time, don't forget, you've got to nourish to flourish.